Hey everybody, Mr. Balker here. I'm going to record our grammar lesson for you and kind of walk you through a new thing. We're understanding adverbs. So without further ado, let me share my screen and go to it. This lesson is grammar, subunit 2, lesson 6. It is called modifying the predicate. So modifying the subject, we use adjectives, right? We're talking about how something looks, feels, smells, whatever. We're describing an object. That uses an adjective. The other descriptive words that we tend to use are adverbs and adverb clauses, okay? These modify the way in which something is done. So if we're talking about playing basketball, you could say he plays basketball, or you could say he plays basketball badly. See how different that is? That's the whole point of an adverb, is to provide additional information about the way an action takes place. Okay, if the car runs slowly, that's a lot different than the car runs quickly, right? Like in one situation, the car is casually going down the street. Again, the idea here is to provide clarity to the person reading or listening to you. Okay, so let's get into the very first one. These are real easy. We're talking about just plain old adverbs. Usually an adverb will end in ly, okay? In this example, Joey carefully, that's an adverb, looks through all the suits in the store. Then he excitedly, that's an adverb, tries on some suits. Finally, he happily, that's an adverb, purchases the suit he's going to wear to prom. The question is, how does he purchase the suit? Well, he purchases it happily. C. Next one. Carl focused and studied extensively for the final exam. How did he study? He studied extensively. B is the right answer there. Next one. I fell asleep quickly during the movie because it was extremely boring. How boring was the movie? It was extremely boring. 3. Okay. I'm going to let you do the last two on your own, and we're going to go to adverb phrases. An adverb phrase generally answers these questions: either how, when, where, why, or how often something takes place. Our first example is every week he has a vocabulary list. He often uses flashcards to study. Why does he use flashcards? That's the question. He uses them to study. Notice that does not end in ly. It uses a verb and a modifier to introduce it. Okay. Next one. Slowly and cautiously, she drove down the icy street. How did she do the driving? Well, slowly and cautiously is how she drove. At night is when she drove. Notice there are two things. This is when it took place, and this is how it took place. Remember our questions over here? How, when, where, why, and how often. That answers two different questions. Third one. Alexa was worried about her final exam. She got a tutor right before the exam to understand the materials better. Which phrases describe getting the tutor? Well, when did she get the tutor? Right before the exam. And why did she get the tutor? To understand the materials better. Both of those explain the purpose about getting the tutor. I will let you do 4 and 5 on your own, and we will go to number 4. Here we're using prepositional and participial adverbs. Now, preposition, we've talked about these before, is a word that introduces something else, right? A preposition is something like after, before, to, from, with, among. All of those things introduce something, okay? They give us a second thing to look at. Here's a good example. When she heard a noise from her bedroom closet, she hid under the covers. Where did she hide? Under, that's our preposition, under the covers. Second one. We all stayed home during summer vacation. When did we stay home? During summer vacation. During is our preposition. Third one. All of your assignments need to be put in your binders after you receive them. Notice, there's two prepositional phrases here that talk about the putting. They need to be put in your binders. In is the preposition. And they need to be put in your binders after you receive them. That answers where, and that answers when. After is our preposition on the second one. I will let you do 4 and 5 on your own. Be aware, these are participial. A participle is something that involves usually an action. It'll contain a verb. Running around on the beach, the little girl collected many kinds of seashells. She proudly shows them off to her mother. The question they're asking here is, where or how did the collecting take place? One of those answers it. I'll give you no more hints. Let's go to number 5. Adverb clauses. Adverb clauses are, again, they're going to answer these same questions. It's a dependent clause. It depends on something else, and it acts as an adverb. And it will also, again, and adverbs always modify the action. They will answer these questions: how, when, where, why, how often. They're telling us more information about the verb. So here's the example. Sandra goes hiking with her husband every weekend. She likes to hike more than her husband. Her husband prefers to stay home and relax. What does she like? She likes more than her husband. See, the hiking, that's the actual action. She likes to hike more than her husband. It's comparing it. How much would be the question that it's answering. Whenever I visit my uncles, they cook my favorite meals. The whenever I visit my uncle's part answers which question about the cooking? Well, it answers how often it takes place. Every time I go to my uncle's, they cook me my favorite meals. How often? Every time. Third one. In the Philippine culture, it's customary to eat with a fork and a spoon or use hands. When I went to the Philippines, I had a meal called kamayan, where we only used our hands to eat. Where we only used our hands to eat. Where is the question? It is basically answering the question of, well, when did you ever use your hands? Yeah, when I had this meal where we had to use our hands. Where introduces the dependent marker, or sorry, where is the dependent marker that introduces the adverb clause? That's it. I'll let you do 4 and 5 on your own. Really pretty easy lesson, and don't underestimate the value and the power of these things. They provide excellent clarity for how something is done. If you want to tell somebody, oh yeah, I watched that movie and it was extremely boring, that's better than saying it was boring. It's additional information. Okay, that's it. I will see you guys for the next one. Thanks.